we're not going to do the chem of the week, obviously, because we're getting too dang close to planting season. We're getting close enough where I'm going to start doing, at least trying to do a weekly agronomy updates. I did buy a GoPro mount so I can try to do them in the tractor. It's going to be interesting. So I got a couple different things to try out this year, but I'm going to address the first thing in the room. Yes, I'm not wearing a hat. Don't send the emergency services to our house. I have a dentist appointment today, and for those of you who know me, I absolutely despise going to the dentist. So obviously I'm kind of halfway stressed out right now. So instead of sitting around and just kind of worrying about it for the next couple hours, I'm going to do a quick video. So the things I want to really address, and the things we probably should talk about right now, I know you're going to see it, and I'm already starting to see it, especially to our south. Bob Nielsen put out, Dr. Bob Nielsen at Purdue put out his yearly Don't Freak Out About Planting a website post, or he posted on a website called the Ag Talk Cafe, or not the Ag Talk Cafe, the Chat and Chew Cafe. He has his own website. He basically posts all the agronomic updates from throughout the Midwest. So you get, like, every time Nebraska puts out a newsletter, it goes on there. Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, they all go on there. And Dr. Nielsen's thing today, the new thing was his annual post, basically, of don't freak out, it's not too late yet. And for us in Wisconsin, obviously it's not even too late. Today's basically the insurance date. And it's really rare for us, at least in my part of the world, to get planting by the middle of April. So usually the 20th to 25th is a good start to our south. For us, up around like Watertown area, if we can get in before the 1st of May, it's usually a pretty decent year. So it might just be one of those years where it might be a May 1st again. So we've had a couple wet springs, and we always talk about this. The first question I always get is, why is the markets not reflecting the late planting dates? And, you know, obviously it's not just us in Wisconsin, it's Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska. Everybody's kind of late. Seems like Nebraska's starting to get going a little bit this week. I've seen a few guys down in central and southern Illinois just start going. They obviously got a snowstorm down there this weekend, just like us. I think we had 4 or 5 inches here at the house. Out of the farm, we only had about an inch, but and we had another 1/10 of an inch of rain last night, or a few tenths. I got a thing this morning. There was somebody who got like 3.5 tenths. So it's obviously wet. So yeah, it's not just us; it's the whole Midwest. But why aren't traders responding to this yet? I've heard a lot of different things, but there's one post that happened, I think it was last year when we had to delay planting. There was a couple of years where we had delayed planting dates, you know, in our mind and in most other people's minds, and the states that were delayed actually ended up with above trend line yields. They had better yields than what they expected. So we've they're somewhat conditioned to, as you know, if we have a late planting date, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't necessarily mean that our yields are going to be down. And the other thing is, you read all the publications, they all say the same thing. Obviously, Dr. Nielsen's thing is, you know, they've had good yields, later planting dates, don't freak out, don't mud corn in. And there's a lot of truth to that. And we always talk about it. I got to write a newsletter sometime in the next week or so. I really despise writing that part of it, because it's just like every year, it's the same thing, and I really hate writing that kind of stuff. But anyway, for the grand scheme of things, we are not in bad shape in Wisconsin yet. Last year, I was looking through my phone. I think April 18th we had some snow, and April 15th last year we had a big snowstorm. I think we had like 8 or 10 inches at the house here. And we were planting by the first planter date that I had on my phone, just looking through pictures, was sometime around April 25th or 26th, and we were going in Watertown by April 29th or 30th. So not really freaking out just yet. It's still too early for that. The other thing that's going to start getting concerning, we've had some fairly cold soil temperatures. I have been pulling some soil temps. There's a lot of afternoon temps where I'm getting in the 50s, but for the most part, when we get below, we've actually some pretty cold soils. We were cleaning a fence line and we ran into some frost as late as, I think it was late last week. And I had a couple guys last week pulling up fence lines and cleaning out ditches, and they were also running into frost. So there's not, all the frost isn't all the way out. In the fields for the most part, yes, but in fence lines and stuff, there's still some frost out there. So tells me the soil temperatures are cool. The other thing is winter wheat. I was checking a lot of fields early last week before the rain, and those fields were actually not really as far along as we have seen them in the past. So for the most part, our wheat is a little bit behind where it should be as far as development goes. So it's really just starting to green up. It really didn't green up until last weekend. So we're talking 10 days ago, where we had a rain event and it was actually fairly warm. And it started greening up to the point where I could actually go in and check some of these spots that I was kind of worried about. The other thing is alfalfa really isn't greening up all that much yet. I just now saw yesterday our bleeding hearts in our yard are starting to kind of come up. And usually those are really early indicators of when spring is. And for us, I've had it as early as mid-March, and I've had it as late as about this time. So it's still kind of late on that end of the spectrum. So we really don't want to be putting stuff out. The other thing is, we've been talking about it all winter, and soybean germinations just aren't great. There's some stuff that's been coming in 85% germ. I've not seen any 80% stuff or anything too wacky. But there is plenty of seed out there that's coming in late germ or low germ. There's a lot of late deliveries this year. I don't think we're too bad. I think I'm waiting on a box, and it was a late order. So for the most part, my beans are all in. But I have been hearing some rumors of other guys that are kind of behind on seed deliveries this year. So a lot of that is germination issues. There's some stuff in corn that could be potentially where we're having some germination issues. We had some late ships on corn. Everybody's kind of having the same problem. But that's kind of a normal thing. There's some winter production stuff that always comes in late. I really don't start getting too worried about if corn's going to show up until about April 15th. And I got an email yesterday. I had like one order left, and that's getting shipped, and it'll be here Thursday. So seed should be in your shed before we start planting. But for the bean issue, we've been talking about bean germinations potentially being lower this year. The other part of that has been, we talked about just the condition of the beans last fall, and we've been really concerned about lowering populations on soybeans this year. So we've always been lowering them since I've been up here, and we've gotten pretty low. This year is probably going to be the year where you want to bump it up maybe 10% from your lowest population you planted last year. So if you're planting 120,000 plants, you really should be around 140 to 150 at least this year, just to kind of cover your bases. Not saying you're going to have an issue. Pay attention to your seed tags. It's not a huge issue yet, but we definitely don't want to be planting 100,000 plants in any circumstances this year. So, so corn's not really a problem. Beans, there's a few things to worry about. But at this point, I'm not freaked out just yet. In a week or two, I might start getting on here and really spewing off some stuff. But, it's really pains me every year to have to talk about this. One of my least favorite things is sitting down and talking to growers about, are we going to late plant? Guys are just, the later we get and more stuff that's ready and everybody's seeds in the shed, we just get really nervous. I've been around for some really late years. We had one year where I don't think we started planting hardcore corn until like May 19th. It was late. And it's hardcore corn, not the other thing you're thinking, but we got pretty late that year. We planted some really short stuff. We had a cool summer. It just was like the worst thing ever as far as, everything coming together. It was just a bad year. We're not in that territory yet. I'm not freaking out. It really kind of sucks, but, we always get these times, and I look at it as an opportunity to get stuff done that you were planning on. We get kind of a little bit weird on plots, when we start getting late plant, but there's always going to be an opportunity. Everybody's first day is going to be the worst day of planting. It always seems like you just want to work the bugs out. That's always the best day to put a plot in. The other things are going to be like, I spent a lot of time this week so far putting stuff into precision management stuff. We've been paying more attention to just trying to figure out some of our fine-tuned details that maybe we we didn't get done this winter because we had like a cool winter, and it just seemed like nobody wanted to do stuff this winter. So right now we're trying to get all that stuff done. There's been a lot of time on that. So this is kind of a time where we have an opportunity, a lot of equipment's ready to go. A lot of seed's been delivered and in guys' sheds. And it really is. We do have an opportunity just to kind of sit down, relax, go grab a bite to eat for lunch, which I'm going to do tomorrow with a guy, and just go through some stuff and really fine tune the things you want to do management wise this year. I think my phone, outside of the major crackdown on speeders today and people getting pulled over for DOT inspections, a lot of my phone calls the last couple of days have been about chemical programs. We're trying to maybe, we went through winter and we're in spring and we're kind of wondering what we're going to do. We thought we had an answer, but now we're kind of second guessing, and we're going through a lot of those and making some adjustments. And it's a lot of that kind of stuff, and we're just trying to make sure I get a chance and everybody gets a chance just to kind of sit down and rethink, go through all the little stuff we can do. And it's like me sitting here and waiting for the dentist, in 2 hours. I got nothing better to do than just to sit and worry. But I can make a video and I could work on my podcast and I can get a lot of stuff done in the office. And I've been putting a lot of maps into in Circa today. So it's just one of those things. It's kind of, I get worried about different things that a lot of other guys get worried about. When you're worried about something, for me, the best thing is to try to find something to do to occupy your time. And I was in the Ag Review, which I'm sure a few of you, or at least most of you, have probably seen. And they asked me what my hobbies were. And, I basically don't have any hobbies outside of agronomy and walking fields. And, we have a couple greyhounds, and every once in a while I go golfing. But, when they ask me for hobbies, I don't even think they put it in there because I have too much other stuff. Other than the fact that I apparently love Star Wars, which I don't love Star Wars. That was kind of a misinterpretation of what I was talking about. It's just a metaphor I used. And anyway, it turned out in the article, I love Star Wars, which has been kind of funny and at the same time somewhat embarrassing, but it's actually been fun. I've had a lot of guys call me, and I have an uncle that's just really into that stuff, and he's just loving it. He thinks it's like the best thing ever. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. Don't freak out. Try to occupy your mind doing stuff. It's really a good time to just make sure we've got a lot of different things done. I've got guys doing yard work. I've got guys cleaning fence lines. Whatever you can do and get out and do, just do it. And try to not think about it. It's really not a huge issue yet. When we get 2 weeks in the future, I may put out one of those dreaded videos where we're talking about late plants and how we're freaking out, or I might have a video where we're in the field planting and I'm in a tractor. So, it really could change really quick. I think last year, it was within 2 weeks there was a difference. So, anyway, after my lovely dog interruption with somebody knocking on our door, but we're going to end the video there. Stay tuned. I'm going to keep doing agronomy updates. We kind of pulled back on the coming of the week lately. It's just with seed deliveries and everything else, it's been really busy. So hopefully you get those going again, maybe this summer or probably more likely this winter. And just talk about a lot of field issues this year. I don't really look forward to finding issues in fields, but it is fun for me to work through those problems. And I'm really looking forward to being kind of an independent source for information that I do sell seed, but at the same time I'm able to not think about different chemicals and products you should be putting on and chemical margins and all that stuff. So hopefully I have a little bit more fun with that. So stay tuned. There's going to be more videos. Thanks.